Good morning, folks. Welcome aboard another day of building, Evie. Not quite as nice as the last time I met you, but anyway, today this is about me getting the window frames ready to go up, the liners. I had them made by MD Woodtech, twice as it happens. The first time, then there was a bit too much gap between the windows and the liners because I didn't specify them, somebody else did. And so anyway, I just had them remake them and sold those ones to other people that wanted them for their size of windows. The reason that mine I've got such small gaps is because the aforementioned condensation conversation. I'll put a link to that down below if you're interested in me pontificating about condensation and why I don't think it is a problem for me. But other people that don't have exactly the windows that I do, that are thermally broken frames as well as the panes in the middle, then I think it's very wise to have a decent gap so that you can fill it with a decently large amount of silicon to prevent condensation and things. Anyway, enough of this. This is the video about me preparing the frames, and yeah, it's part one as it happens. We start off with me trying to figure out which liner is going to best fit each of the portholes. Now, you might think that portholes are all round and liners are all round and etc. And you'd be right in that, apart from they're not. This being a narrowboat, of course, everything is different. Even when it's the same, everything is still different. Now, I wouldn't have to be doing this fettling and selection process if I wasn't being particular about wanting effectively zero gaps between the frames or the liners and the portholes themselves. So I'm obviously making a rod for my own back by trying to do what I want to do, but that's fine. You know, I'll get there in the end, and well, hopefully anyway. So it's just a question of working through all of the liners in each of the places, deciding which one's going where, marking it up, and then I got to the coloration and I put that up against there, and I decided, yeah, you know, that's the right color. So I then carried on, and obviously that was the back of one of the larger bus window frames to begin with. Liners, I don't really know. I use the words interchangeably. Somebody will probably correct me, tell me that one of them is right or wrong or whatever for whatever situation. But so this is just the same wax as I used on the walls. These are ash liners, and the walls are obviously not. I mention that only because it'll come back later. So this is just the same process as I've been using on other things. The walls, obviously, I was using a roller and thinning the wax down a lot more. This is just coming straight out of the tub. It is. I put a sort of like a little hole of terps in the middle, and then sort of mix that up a bit. I think there's some point later then you'll see me sort of redo that process. So that's the first one, and there it is in place. We will come back to it. These next ones, I've chopped these down a bit because you probably don't need to see me do this again and again and again, but you know, obviously I did. There are four of these windows. I've got the I asked MD Woodtech to make me some liners for the hatches and the front door. I think maybe the back door as well. I can't remember. Anyway, so I've got things that all sort of match throughout the boat, so that well, because I thought it would look better that way. So essentially, this is just put it on with a brush and then rub it off with a rag, and just on to the next one. These are the smaller ones, so these are for the kitchen galley here. As you can see, I haven't got the worktops in here at this point in time. This is somewhat out of sequence. Now there's me doing a bit of mixing, and yeah, just put it on and wipe it off, and well, this is then all done, and it goes in there, and I'm trying to fit it in here, and I realize that because I have effectively put less gap than anybody would normally put, then the depth of these liners, I am now hitting the head of the bolts on the window clips. As you can see here, they just sort of protrude a little forward of the clips, and by adding that silver tape on the liner there, then I can now measure backwards from those to see just how far the head of those bolts are behind the face of the windows themselves, and then figure out how to trim that bit off the back. I tried a number of different sort of things, setups, and then eventually I realized that if I just put a 19mm bit of board along the face there, then I could just trim the back off, and that would work well. Slightly awkward to hold, and Keith from down the way in the marina was kind enough to come and help me do a couple of these off camera. A bit dusty outside, but Keith was very kind in helping basically be right in the dust flow with where the wind was going when we were doing that. But anyway, what a friend's for, eh? So thank you, Keith. And as you can see, it went up very well. It closed the gap there, so they were in the right place. Then I started to think about adjusting the holes around the windows in the galley. I just hadn't got these quite large enough. I always knew that I was on the tight side. I figured I could make them larger instead of, obviously, if they were too big, then it would be a real problem. I didn't have the window liners when I cut these, so even the wrong ones, then I didn't have. So anyway, as you can see, I tried, or I considered a number of different options, the circular saw as well as the jigsaw and whatever. It was just a question of sort of adjusting and going around and making these just a little bit bigger so that they would accommodate the frames. I'm not looking for them to be super huge, but the liners are actually kind of mostly supported on the frames themselves of the window, the grey bits of the window, well, a bit of I think there's a bit of hand planing going on. There's a bit of sanding. There's I think I've probably got the drill out with the little sanding drums on them. These are quite funky little things. They make quite a lot of dust, but with the hoover right in place, then not too bad. They were able to get them fitted. I probably tested them side to side and what have you as well, to see whether one of these would fit better than the other and things like that. As you can see, there's one of the boats in the marina moving about. Well, this is still back in the summer. Well, the tail end of the summer anyway. Some of these I had got quite wrong and needed to do quite a lot of adjustment, but overall not too bad. And as I say, I didn't have the liners, so I'm not going to beat myself up. I figured out a better way of doing it for the portholes. Obviously, I didn't want anybody holding things and chopping anybody else's fingers off. So I did that for all of the portholes. This is just a insulation tape holding a piece of 19mm to the circular saw. And then I began to realise just how yellow these are versus the actual brownness of the walls, and that was wrong. So, because those were comparatively bright yellow when looking at them next to the walls, then I sort of sat with them as a thing for longer than I should have done, really. So, the next video will be me rectifying that and getting the window liners up, and so subscribe if you want to see that, because I noticed that actually I get more metrics now, and apparently twice as many of you watch again as actually are subscribers. So there's a lot of people that come back but don't subscribe. Anyway, do that if you want to, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.